Okay, so let's talk about the Captain plugins. Now, this is something that's been mentioned in the comments underneath my videos so many times. People have been asking me to do a review video on them or a tutorial or some kind of walkthrough. And I tell you what, it's a bit embarrassing because I bought them the moment they first came out. When they first got released, I bought a copy of it. And I tell you what, I've never tried it. I installed it and I never actually had a go with it. And it's quite embarrassing because version 5 just got released. What? Now, if you haven't heard of the Captain plugins before, basically it's a suite of plugins that help you come up with track ideas. Now, this is all about writing melodies, writing chords, chord progressions, and the main plugin within all of this that kind of started it all was Captain Chords. As I say, as you might have guessed from the name, it's all about generating chords and chord progressions. It really kind of helps you develop a song quite quickly and come up with all those different ideas. But they've kind of built on that whole package, that whole suite, and it's now a package of 5 plugins. So you've still got your Captain Chords, which is the main kind of plugin within all of this, and then you've also got Captain Beats, which is all about creating beats, as you might have guessed. You got Captain Play, which is a live version of Captain Chords, which allows you to play different chords by just pressing one key on your keyboard. Kind of a cool idea. Then you've also got Captain Melody, which is all about creating melody lines or lead lines, and then you've got Captain Deep, which is about writing your bass lines. Now, all of these plugins supposedly all work together and help you come up with an idea for a track. Now, as I mentioned before, when the Captain plugins first came out, I bought it straight away. I installed it, but then I never even touched it. It was just sitting there and I thought one day I'll get to it. One day I'll play around with it. And when I heard version 5 was being released, I thought, well, why don't I give it a go now? And I thought I'd record it for you guys. Now, if you haven't seen this series before, I'm calling these Test Lab. This is where I take plugins and software and different music services and try them out. These aren't review videos. I'm not going through every single feature and showing you how something works. I'm actually using it on my own tracks, or in this case, coming up with an idea for a track and seeing if I can actually use it in the real world. So let's jump into Ableton and see what these Captain plugins can do. So as I say, I haven't really used these plugins before, so I'm not even sure if this is going to work. I'm not even sure how much we're going to do in this video, but what I want to do is I want to see what I can do with just these plugins, see where I can go with, see if I can come up with an idea for a track. Now, usually I always kind of start with at least some beats. I need something in there just to kind of get me going. So it makes sense to go with Captain Beat to start with. I've just got a single MIDI track within here. So let's drop that on here and see what we can come up with. So you can see here it already has some kind of drum beat in here already. Let's have a go with this and see what it sounds like. That sounds super bad. I don't like that so far. Let's see if we can change maybe a different drum kit. Let's see what drum kits they've got within here. So we've got a 909 kit. I use the 909 kit quite a bit, so let's start off with that. And actually, let's see if we can change the pattern as well. So the pattern is here. Let's see if we can go through a few of these, see if any of these are any good. There's not much really in there. Let's click through to the patterns and see what else they've got. So they've got a whole lot of different categories within here. So we've got house category. So let's have a look at the jack in house one, see what that's like. Yeah, that's instantly better, but it really annoys me that this fill is in here. So I can turn it off. I guess that's where I can turn it off. Let's have a listen to it now. It's not too bad. It's okay. Let's have a look at this. Let's go through all the different samples, actually, see what they're like. So we've got the kick within here. I'm not keen on this. In fact, I might actually use one of my own. So it does say drop your sample in here. So go for one of my kicks out of the collection, see what I've got within here. Let's try something. I want something a bit more flat. That one might work quite well. Let's try putting that in there. Now, as a way to edit the sample, Got some basic controls here. There's not actually a way to edit the sample. Yeah, there's no editing of samples at all, not even kind of trimming it so you can trim how much of it you want. That's a little annoying. So that's already better. At least I got the kick in there. Let's get rid of some of these elements that are, it's got too much character. There's too much going in. It's almost like it's trying to build a whole track with this pattern. So I'm going to get rid of a few of these different things. That's better. I'm going to try and edit this clap. This clap's a bit too long. I want it a bit sharper. Solo this out. So I can adjust these knobs, I guess. I'd really like some kind of visual way to see these kind of controls, see what it's doing to the sample, see the actual, it's obviously an envelope, but there's no kind of representation of what the envelope looks like, which just seems like something that should be in there. Bit sharper that. Not keen on that shaker actually. I might take that down in volume. In fact, let's see if I can delete some of these. Oh, I can do. That's good. I want to try and put a double kick in at the end here as well. It's kind of difficult to... Oh, there we go. That's how we do it. So how can we... Can we trim that? Can't trim that. There's no way to kind of trim that. That's really quite annoying. Oh, no, I don't want two of those. I've got a velocity thing down the bottom here. Let's see if we can adjust the velocity. All right, so I can take the velocity down a bit. I'll tell you what, one thing I'm looking at within here, we've got a different way to kind of change the patterns. And there's a fill option within there, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of swing. There's no kind of swing element there. We've got these kind of closed hats here, which do have some kind of swing to them. But they look, yeah, they've all just looked like they've been put in there manually. Like they're off, some of them are off the grid. So they're actually on the grid there. But there's no kind of swing control. There's no way to kind of just adjust those. So if I want to just bring up the swing or make it less swing. Yeah, I kind of wish there'd be some kind of swing control within it. Put another kick in there as well, I think. Again, it's like if I want to put something in there with a bit of swing, it's like, yeah, it's just the editing here. It just feels a bit clunky just editing with these. So I'm just kind of lining, because there's no swing control. I'm just kind of lining it out with these kind of closed hats that are already in here. Take the velocity down a little bit. Put another one in here. Yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad. I just kind of wish this kind of a whole editing area just feels a little bit kind of clumsy to me. It just feels, I almost feels like I want more control. I'm really kind of finding it hard to describe how limiting it kind of feels. But on the other hand, it does have some interesting controls in there. And I do kind of like the fact there are some patterns in there. I just feel like it's almost kind of, because there are all these different patterns within here and this kind of emphasis on the patterns, it's leaving less to your creativity. I'd like to see more options to be able to put, like, change the swing, to be able to put different kind of notes in there, maybe have some kind of random features that will kind of add something in there that's a bit more unpredictable, a bit less kind of you're using one of the patterns from here. So what else we got within here? We got some effects on each one of these, so you can put the effects within here. To be honest, it's something I probably wouldn't do. I think most of the stuff within here, I'd be using this for MIDI more than anything. I'd still probably want to change out these sounds for my own sounds and to really kind of edit each one of these sounds individually. So like there's the export option here to, so exporting the audio, the master audio, not quite sure the differences between those. Maybe that's the channel audio. Oh, I guess so. Each one of these gets exported separately. Yeah, I think I'd still be just using this for MIDI more than anything, almost a sequencing kind of thing. And I don't think it's strong enough for just sequencing. Anyway, we got a beat there anyway. That's enough to go with. I think the main thing with this kind of Captain Suite is all about the kind of melody and the sounds and stuff. So let's jump into this and have a look at the chords, because this is kind of, chords is where everything kind of came from and everything else was kind of built around that. So let's drop a chords on here and see what we can come up with. So, okay, so what key should I start off in? Let's have a look. So, okay, well, this is a bit strange. So we got sharp keys in here and flat keys in here. So you got C sharp, and you got E flat. Shouldn't that just be D sharp? Either stick with sharps or stick with flats. I find that strange. Might just be me. Just say that. I'm going to go for D sharp or E flat. Let's go with that and see that. Okay, so we've got a whole load more stuff within here. I imagine this is probably where everything goes. This is where the majority of the development goes, because this was kind of the main selling point for this package. So let's see what it sounds like. Let's try a nicer chord. So these are all the suggested chords, I guess. Let's go for a minor seventh. I do quite like the instrument, that kind of piano and strings. That's not too bad actually at all. So add another progression within here. Yeah, so I can add another progression here. So I can now choose a different one maybe. Okay, this is nice, easy kind of writing of melodies, I guess. I don't know. I feel like there should be some kind of like, okay, so this is, you've got these two chords. This would probably go nicely after this. Again, it's kind of leading you, I guess. It's probably doing too much work for you maybe, but I'd like to see the idea of that. There's a progression thing here as well, which I didn't actually notice. Okay, that's kind of nice. No, actually, I want that one to repeat again, I think. How do we do that? So I guess I can delete that. How do I duplicate? Oh, duplicate there. Okay. Oh no, that's duplicated everything. No, I don't want that. I just want to duplicate this. And I can't select all these notes. That's annoying. So can I just... That's just going to duplicate everything. That's just strange. So can I duplicate that step at all? Maybe stretch it out. No, I can't stretch it out. Oh, I can stretch this out. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of nice. Let's have a look at this timing now. So I guess this is the notes. Oh no. That's how long it goes out. Oh no, I don't know if I like that. Oh, okay, yeah. So how long these notes go on for, these progressions go on for. Let's change that back. I like my one, to be honest. Okay, so let's have a look at the rhythm, see what kind of rhythms they got within here. Kind of missing out that start bit there. I'm not quite sure if I like all of them. I bet there's a whole, yeah, there's loads of these. I mean, how do you even know what any of these are unless you've kind of played around with them before? Like, how are these named? Not sure I like that at all. There is a recording thing here, so use the spacebar to stop recording. Okay, so I'm just literally using the keyboard. It's a bit harder on the keyboard actually to try and figure out how to do this. Looks like there's input from, tapping your mouse, keyboard, and MIDI. Pressing a key on the keyboard to make a rhythm, or any key. Right, okay. Let's try this again. Oh, what happened there? Oh, no. What? So take one, take two. Let's call that. Let's say done on that. Is that gonna? All right. Okay. So there we go. So we got our notes there. So I can. How do I select? This is not quite right. How do I? Can't select the notes. Zoom in a little bit. Oh, okay. Oh, it's going to move the whole chord. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that works quite well. So we've got some more controls under here for space. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. Let's see what strum does. Yeah, we want something a bit more kind of powerful. That strum's just not working with this. Let's have a look at the swing. So this is what I was missing from the beats, from Captain Beats. It needs a swing dial. And it seems weird that we got a swing within here, but no swing within the beats. So you can't do the same swing for both. I want that to be 16th swings. That one's a little bit too long, that one there. It takes a little bit of getting used to of how they edit within here, because it edits unlike any other kind of door or anything else like that. And the snapping, stop snapping. Is there a way to turn snapping off? I can't instantly see it. It's probably somewhere within here. Maybe I just need to zoom in a little bit more. Oh, it's resized them all. No. I'll tell you what, it definitely takes some getting used to this program. See, why has it done that? I've just literally just resized that and then it's resized them all. Like, what is going on there? Like, why is it resizing them all? I give up. So this is why I'd probably end up just exporting this MIDI and then probably having to edit it in elsewhere. The whole idea of this is you're kind of coming up with these MIDIs that are going to be the things that you're going to use, not the fact that you're going to have to make a whole load of changes afterwards. It's sounding good, but as I say, I think I'm going to have to do a whole load of editing. If I was going to go forward with this idea, I'd have to export this MIDI and kind of use it externally. Yeah, I'm not sure on that. Let's have a look at a few different other presets within here while we're going through this. I mean, they're okay, these presets. Again, I can't see myself using anything straight out of the box with this, but, you know, it's nice to have a few different ideas of how this could actually work out. Got quite a bit in here. So look at the electronic piano. Let's move it up an octave. Oh, that just does that one. Can I move them all up one octave? Do I have any kind of choice on that? Can I select everything? Oh, maybe I have to do them all. I have to do them individually. I can't just move them all up one. Selecting things in this is a nightmare. Okay, I take that back. I think I quite like that preset. That preset's quite nice. Maybe I would kind of play around with it a bit more, EQ it, but that works quite nicely. Now, also one of the other features I saw is that you can actually use a plugin within this. Now, I am actually worried that this is going to crash this project in Ableton, so I'm going to save this first. Okay, now it's saved. Let's have a look at these plugins. It's scanning through my plugin collection. So I'm guessing it's going through all the different VSTs that I've got on my system. I'm hoping you have to do this every single time you load this up. Right, so let's see what it's found within here. Well, that's definitely not all of my plugins. I don't know what's going on there, but that's definitely not all of my plugins. And I can't seem to even go between these. No, I'm going to ignore that. Oh, it's got the DB33. It's got that up. Now, if this app was a standalone app, then having that kind of VST support would be good. But to be honest, in Ableton or any other DAW, I'd just be routing the MIDI out of this into another instrument so that the instrument is actually within my kind of DAW anyway, and then I can do all the processing and everything else on it then, and I'd know that it was stable and secure and stuff. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why I'd have this within a plugin. I suppose it is convenience, but but being as it didn't find most of my instruments, it's kind of useless that. Also, the MIDI out only works if you're using the VST version, which is quite interesting. I always go for the audio units. I don't know why. I think it's just because they're first on the list when you look at plugins, but yeah, that's a little bit annoying. Okay, well, we can see it works with that. And in fact, I do like that dub piano a little bit more. So at least it gives us something to work with. So yeah, I kind of like this. I think I'm gonna probably have to play around with this to see, you know, how to use this interface. I think it's one of these things you got to get used to. In one way, it's amazing because it's got lots of different choice within there, lots of different options and kind of things that it will suggest for you. But also in another way, it feels really restrictive because I'm used to how free it is to kind of get in there and kind of edit different things within Ableton. But then on the other hand, it just feels a bit restrictive because I can't really get into those different notes and edit them the way I want to, like I would with Ableton. So I think in some ways I'd probably use this to kind of maybe come up with ideas for chords and progressions and then export it straight out of there as soon as I've got them. So even coming up with the rhythm that I've done within here, I probably do within Ableton. So I probably just save out these as one measure notes. So I've basically got the chord progression and then go from there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how long I'd actually stay within this plugin before I then moved it into Ableton and work from there. But at least it's something. I mean, it's given me an idea, and you know, that's ultimately what I'm always looking for. So the fact that it's come up with an idea is really good. Right, let's add another MIDI track, and this time I'm going to go for one of the other plugins. So we've got MIDI Captain Deep. So let's go for this. I think this is the bass version. Okay, so it says connect this plugin to Captain Chords. So Captain Chords is already in there. So it's already got the chords that I've got within Captain Chord, I guess. I think those must be the ones. Yeah, so it is. It's actually communicating between the two, and we can see those chords are between the two. So let's see how this bass sounds. I kind of like what it's done by going up and then down. That's kind of interesting. Let's have a look at a different instrument though for this. Don't know if I like that rhythm at all. Let's try a different one. So, I mean, it's got the same kind of rhythm interface within here, but there's no way to record the rhythm or even copy that same rhythm that you had from Captain Chords. So say, for example, I wanted to do the same kind of rhythm in this as I had in Captain Chords. I've got to physically go through and edit this, I think, because I can't change it. I've only got the kind of rhythms I've got within here. I suppose I could edit them. Can I edit these? No, I can't even. So there's no MIDI editing within there at all. It just feels a bit limited. Like it's given me the same like bass. It's given me the bass notes from Captain Chords, but I can't really do much with them, which is a little bit annoying. And again, there's no swing knob here, so I can't swing the notes. I don't know. This feels really kind of early days for this plugin. It almost just feels like this plugin is like a beta version of the plugin because it's lacking quite a few features within here. The fact that you can't even edit these notes is really frustrating. So yeah, I don't even know if I'd be able to use that, to be honest. Right, so while we're here, let's have a look at Captain Melody and see what that does. I'm guessing this is the same as Captain Deep, but for melody lines maybe. I'm going to connect it to Captain Chords. Oh, to see. All right, okay. It says it's connected it to it, so I can see the notes, but oh, so the notes are at the top here. Okay, I see. So what do we do now? I'm not even sure what we do now. So I'm guessing this is a way to kind of build up a kind of, melody line, a lead line maybe. Oh, so we've got the magic record button again, so we can record the notes. Let's have a look over this. Play keys on your keyboard to record notes. Okay. So I just recorded those notes in, and I'm not sure that that F is within the E flat scale. So I'm not quite sure why it's put that in there. I wonder if I can edit these at all. Convert into an idea box. I don't know what that means. Shape? Update shape? What's this do? I really don't know what this does. I think this is going to take some real learning to kind of figure out what all this stuff does. Like this, I mean, clearly the developers thought, well, this is going to be useful, but you've really got to like pay attention and figure out what's, you know, what all this stuff does. Yeah, I'm really not sure what it does. So I think what it's doing is it's actually suggesting different notes based on the scale that you're in, or maybe the chords that are being played as well. And it's also suggesting different rhythms as well, just to kind of give you some ideas for lead lines or main lines or whatever you're doing. I'm not quite sure if it's something that I'd use, but it's definitely something if I was going to use, I'm going to have to read the website a little bit more because it doesn't seem totally intuitive as to what it's doing and what all these controls are doing. It looks like you're going to have to go through a whole tutorial to kind of figure out all this kind of stuff. And whilst, yeah, if you do kind of understand all this stuff and you're learning all these different controls, it might be able to give you some interesting stuff. I prefer a plugin that kind of really is intuitive and you can just play around, because that's generally what I do with most plugins. I kind of start them up like this and just start playing around and seeing what I can come up with. But this does feel really kind of confusing. And for somebody like me who kind of does, when they're coming up with main lines and melodies and stuff, I generally just vibe. I get on the piano or my MIDI controller or whatever, and I kind of figure out stuff as I go along, just playing around with different ideas and seeing what comes out. But yeah, I'm not quite sure whether this is something I'd use. So that's 4 out of the 5 Captain plugins, with Captain Play being just a version of the Captain suite where you just play stuff in real time. So it's pretty much most of the other functionality you find within here. So yeah, I'm not going to go into that right now. I think with these, I can see myself using Captain Chords. Captain Chords actually kind of came up with some interesting ideas. If I'm trying to come up with some chords and some general progressions, then this might be really interesting to use, and I could probably see myself using this going forward. There are definitely some tweaks I'd love to see, because the editing is still annoying me a little bit, and I think I'd probably want to export that MIDI as soon as possible so I can then start working it inside of Ableton, which I like, and I can move around really quickly inside. I think Captain Beat is something that definitely is going to need a little bit more progression. It needs some more controls within here. The fact that it doesn't have a simple swing knob, you can't edit any of the sounds. There's no way to kind of visually to see the sound, so you can't crop a sample if you drop a sample into there. The controls within here, there's no kind of envelope or anything else like that. There's definitely a whole load of tweaks that really could be done within here. The Captain Deep, I mean, that definitely looks like it's very early days for this plugin. And the fact that you can't edit any of these notes is really kind of frustrating, because that just seems like a simple thing that should be in from the start. If you're not going to put that within here, then why was the plugin even added? Because there's very, very little that you can do. It suggests some notes, and if you're quite early on in your production, then maybe it might help. But for me, I mean, it's not got the kind of rhythm that I want, and I can't get in there and I can't edit the rhythm. So yeah, I'm not quite sure about Captain Deep either. And then Captain Melody, it might be something that could come up with some really interesting ideas. but with the really kind of complex interface and all these idea boxes and things like that, you know, I'm gonna have to really read the instructions and the website to kind of get an idea whether this is something I could actually use. So yeah, I'm kind of split on this one. I think generally over the whole suite, I'm kind of split. Some of these work really well. Some of them definitely could do with improvements, and well, Deep, I'm just really not sure that that's ready yet. So I'm kind of on the fence with the Captain plugins because on one hand, I think they've got a lot of potential, especially Captain Chords, and I can see it's something that I will be using going forwards when it comes to writing a new track, especially coming up with chords and chord progressions. I think it's great for that and coming up with just general ideas. But on the other hand, the other plugins within the suite just aren't great. They're severely lacking in features, and I can't see myself using any of them. For example, if I want to come up with a bass line and I'm using Captain Chords, I'm more likely to export the MIDI notes from Captain Chords and come up with my bass line in Ableton, because Captain Deep just doesn't have the features. I mean, for example, you can't even edit the MIDI notes within Captain Deep, and that is really, really frustrating, especially considering that is actually a feature within Captain Chords. It just hasn't been brought over to Captain Deep, which is just strange. And also the swing control as well. They've got swing control within Captain Chords, but it's not within Captain Beats. And you definitely would want to put swing on your drums. It seems like one of those controls that should be in there by default, which is just strange. So yeah, I have kind of opinions on both sides really. Now, hopefully a lot of these things will kind of be improved as time goes on. As you can see, as I said already, like, well, I got these plugins when they first came out, and now it's on version 5. So I'm sure there's going to be a whole load more development, a whole load more features and things put into them. So hopefully in the coming weeks, months, we might see some better versions and more features added to these plugins. So I'm on the fence at the moment as to whether I would recommend them, but I think I will be using Captain Chords going forward for coming up with chord ideas. So I suppose in that way, I could recommend that plugin. So yeah, if you can give it a try, definitely give it a try if you want to, if any of those features kind of look cool to you. And if this video has been useful, then definitely subscribe to my channel. I've got a whole load more content like this on there. I've got plugin reviews, I've got tips, tricks, music production advice. So definitely check out the rest of the channel, get subscribed, hit that notification icon so you're notified the moment I upload a brand new video, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.